Welcome back to our coverage of Oulton Park for the third event of the 2026 BRSCC Clapham North Winter eSports Series. First of all, apologies for the technical issues that we've had. We think we've just about resolved them, so we are back once again. We did miss the end of race number 1, sadly, but we did get a victory from Matt Kendall. We're now just past half distance in race 2, where Matt Kendall started back in pole position. And the story so far is that Matt Kendall has got Trafford King for company, and it's those two drivers that have pulled away to quite a substantial gap out in front. The two of them are now currently around about, I'd say, roughly at 5 seconds ahead of this scrap for third place. It's now side by side, 2 deep, between Leo Richardson and Tom Merritt, and Merritt being leaned out wide, sees him lose a place to Harrison Leach, and possibly now also both Benji Douglas and Chris Etheridge are going to pounce on the opportunity if they so choose to do so. But down towards Old Hall Corner they go for the next time. It is now it's Richardson who leads this group from Leach, Douglas, Merritt down to 6th, then Etheridge and Ashton not far away. Merritt goes back on the attack round the outside of Harrison Leach to try and, or Benji Douglas to try and pick up 5th position again, which he has done so just about. He's got a good momentum off the corner down Lakeside. The inside line for the next corner, which is the right-hander, 180-degree hairpin at the Island Bend. The hairpin, they go, a little tap and tail, bit of a concertina effect because it was Merritt into the back of Leach, and then it was into the back of Merritt as a result. They're all stacked up behind each other. And looking backwards from Douglas's car, looking at Chris Etheridge right behind them. Now the front view, looking right into the rear end of Thomas Merritt's car. That's as close as you can probably get. It's been practically inside the texture of the rear bumper. So we move along of Nickerbrook and now back up the hill once again under the bridge. They're side by side behind them. That's between Ashton and Etheridge. So Etheridge lost out after making a mistake. And that now puts Jack Ashton up into 7th place in the Jack Ashton Racing and Coaching sponsored machine. Usual team name when he races purple helmet, so I'll try and let you work out exactly why he calls it that one. Probably not safe for broadcast. Anyway, back to our battle further back, and one driver that didn't get a good run through this race has been Isaac Doble, but that's further back down the order. This is a scrap at the bottom end of the top 10. This is Alex Catlow who's holding on to 10th from 11th place. And also in there too is Marcus Hesketh, who's got a slightly different livery on that car. Now up to P12, he's in the typical BRSCC colours, and down the inside of John Pethick he goes, so up into 11th place. It's Marcus Hesketh who plays his cards right in the remaining, 3.5 minutes of this race, plus change. And to possibly score a top 10 finish here. Pethick might try and come back at him through Cascades. Hesketh holds on, and I shouldn't sound so surprised that he's up there in the top 10, but I'm just encouraged by the fact that he's up there. So presenting BRSCC well so far, and again one more place to pick up before we get some stuff into the top 10. He closes in under braking, turns through the 180 degrees of that right-hander hairpin, back up the hill once more. Also on the tail there is Ben Williams, another Metro Cup racer. He's the green MX-5 with the white boot lid. Over the crest they go. Just behind the background is James White, and a couple of front-running drivers who are quite far back, one of which is Isaac Doble. He had a bit of an incident where he spun out exiting Nickerbrook and got some damage to that number 65 machine, and might actually have a look and see further back and what happened on that replay if we get into the screen. He's just having a quick look to see if they can find the replay. We're still watching Isaac as he makes his way over Nickerbrook. Looking further back on the replay here. This is what happened further back earlier on to Isaac Doble. So he was battling away with John Pethick and a couple of others. I think Liam Martin Bradley. A little tap in the tail through Old Hall Corner, round wide, just lost a bit of momentum. Then charging down the hill. And there's just in the background, further back, at the base of the top 20, someone's gone skating off the road. That is... I can't quite tell the number on that one. Aaron Beattie, I'm being told. So Aaron Beattie, who was a little higher up the order, has gone skating off at Druids. The question is, did he jump or was he pushed? Was there contact? Did he spin off by himself? It's quite a bumpy and multiple apex right-handers, so it can be easy enough for the car to be sort of drawn wide off the racing line and over the grass. Once you get over the curb there, almost night Irene, I'm gone. Into the last minute and a half of regular time, and this is the replay we've got coming up here. So Aaron Beattie was side by side the recovering Tom Griffiths. He went in towards Druids. It looks to me as if potentially Aaron tried to turn into the corner and didn't realise that Tom was still there on the inside line to try and take his line. As a result, he seemed to end up off the road and not out of the race, but further down the order than he'd like to be. Now, the shenanigans for third place haven't ended, and they're now grid starting to kick off towards Druids, the same place where we just saw Aaron Beattie go off. It's side by side for third. Thomas Merritt is not giving this up an inch, is he? He gets a little bit of a hip check from off the corner. Now they're 2 by 2 again underneath Carlew Bridge up towards Lodge Corner again. It's now Richardson and Merritt side by side. Behind them it's Leach and Douglas as they scrap over 5th position, but they're going to get embroiled in this fight for third also. In the mix too, you can see also are Etheridge and Ashton, and also I think Thomas Potter in there as well. It is 6 or 7 of them for positions they come across the line. The leaders have started the last lap of the race. Anyone's guess for the final podium spot as we watch from the onboard, I think, of Benji Douglas. This is now of Etheridge, in fact. This is now Douglas and Merritt going side by side for position. Richardson's on the inside line defending. Then got as far ahead to Etheridge now has to his inside goes Douglas past him, and also Jack Ashton now past him too, but he's on the outside. So how do you call this next gaggle of cars of 6 of them all together into the hairpin? And something's got to give. They all get through relatively safely, but it's 2 by 2 again on the exit. Merritt almost bumps into the side of Douglas to pick up P5. Now it's side by side for the final podium spot. The leaders are several seconds up the road, so I'm sure we'll check on them in a second. But you can't really pull yourself away from this battle for third place as Richardson takes the outside line in the first part of the Hislop chicane, squeezes. That was Leach out wide ever so slightly. Leach got squeezed out wide and Merritt got back through. And that's cost him momentum because here comes both Douglas and Ashton. Ashton getting a big push here up the inside line. Something surely has to give between these 3 or 4 cars. Richardson looks like he's just about clear and dry. They're still side by side as they go through. That was Leach up the inside and Ashton to hold on to the place. But the leaders out of Lodge for the final time. And after surviving the chaos of race number 1, it's a much more relaxed and much more placid race number 2. Despite pressure all the way to the flag, it's Matt Kendall who picks up the win with Trafford King in second place. It's all action stations for third though. Here they come towards the line. It might be a side-by-side finish, but despite Merritt's pressure, Richardson will just get there in the end and pick up the flag at the result. And side-by-side for the last top 10 spot. Who's it going to be? Hesketh or Catlow? I think it's going to be Hesketh. It is. Hesketh does get a top 10. 10 for Marcus Hesketh, representing BRSCC, and he was across the line. What was the gap? It was practically 2 of a second, and there was more battles going on here involving Isaac Doble. This is between him, I think Rob McGregor and Alex Corkwell across the line, more of them scrapping between each other, lots more side-by-side finishes. Despite all of that, Doble comes home in 20th. That's not exactly where he wanted to be, particularly being in the mix for the championship and trying to score big points. Now, what's also interesting, of course, we reversed the top 10 for race number 3. Guess who finds himself now on pole position? Marcus Hesketh. That should be quite interesting, shouldn't it? The BRSCC staff member in the BRSCC branded car, starting on pole position, I think, for the first time in this series. Nerves might not be the word, and particularly with a difference of atmosphere here, because as you can see, only as the top 10 changing the grid, the weather's changed as well, because we're now going to get, I think for the first time in this series, we've got rain in the air, and that's certainly going to make things a whole lot more challenging when you start to saturate the circuit and reduce the grip levels, particularly when you've got 31 busy, buzzing Mazda MX-5 Global Cup cars all trying to battle their way towards Old Hall Corner for the first time. As you can see, the top 10 has already been reversed on the screen. I can see it here. So Marcus Hesketh will start on pole position. With Thomas Potter along... No, it should be Alex Catlow, shouldn't it, I think? I don't think we've got the definitive top 10 yet, but we'll see how that works out when the grid comes up. You show the race 2 results. I don't have them on my screen that I've got here, but let's go. And top 3 will be Hesketh, Potter and Etheridge on the grid. Which confuses me slightly because Alex Catlow was 9th across the line, so I'm not quite sure why he doesn't make... No, forgive me, I'm being stupid. I'm being reminded rightly by my producer in my ear. Catlow was 11th, that's the reason why I'm confused, because he's outside the top 10. Of course he's not getting to the top 10 reversing, so ignore me for being stupid. Marcus Hesketh is going to be starting on pole position then for race number 3. It'll be Thomas Potter alongside him on the front row. Now, Thomas I've seen in other sim racing competitions. He is quite prominent. He's quite a handy racer for clutch young driver. He's about, I think, 14, 15 years old, so he's pretty decent. And I reckon that if he can get himself a decent start and put himself level with Hesketh, there might be a chance he could get himself a run into turn 1 and beat him into Old Hall Corner for the first time. Etheridge will start 3rd. You know what happened last time when he was high up on a reverse grid? It was Donington race number 3. He went on to lead practically 2/3 of the race, not all the way from start to finish, but he did get the lead back again right at the end, and just about won in that 4 wide finish across the line. So if he can do that again, and he's got the pace to do so, because he has found pace in the last couple of meetings, there's every chance that Etheridge could go on and take his second win, but he'll need a little bit of luck and also a good run in these wet conditions. We'd see how he can handle things when they're a little more saturated. Jack Ashton will start in 4th on the grid, so that's on the second row for the Metro Cup champion. 5th for Benji Douglas, 6th for Harrison Leach, 7th for Thomas Merritt. Just lost out to Leo Richardson in the end. And then Matt Kendall will start on 10th on the grid, just behind Traffic King as they start on the 5th row. Matt Kendall, championship leader. 2 more victories for him. Missed out on victories last time at Winton Park because they went the way of both Richardson and Chris Etheridge. And of course, in this 5-minute warm-up session, the drivers, certainly just about everyone's out there. The majority of the field are out there, get used to the conditions, because this is the first time we've had wet weather this season. Not the first time we've had it full stop, because we have had a couple of wet races before in BRSCC Winter eSports, where we've changed the server and changed the weather's reading. With a couple of minutes to go until the warm-up session is done. It's still steadily falling, so they're getting used to how juiced the grip levels are in these wet conditions, particularly with these Mazda MX-5 Global Cup cars. Forget how often these MX-5 Global Cup cars in real life actually have raced in the wet, because I don't think it's often that they do. Even in times when you've got January, February, and they've raced at places like Daytona, as they have done very recently. I think it was as far as, not the weekend, yeah, even last weekend. It's usually very dry but very cold, whereas Mazda MX-5 racing in this country is a little more often you get them in wet weather, because typical British weather for you. Matt Kendall with a little bit of a drift coming through the exit of Druids. So the little patches of puddles and standing water where the water accumulates. All these circuits are, of course, laser scanned, so where the water tends to accumulate in those sections tends to match where you might find it in real life. So it's got about a minute to go until we transition into the event, and everyone taking what we call the wet line, or the karting line as it's known. So you come off the racing line, because circuit would have been quite rubbered in the dry sessions between the practice session, the qualifying, and 2 dry 15-minute races. Now you start to apply water, and of course when you apply water to rubber, it becomes very slippery, and on the racing line you don't have any grip. So drivers then will come off the racing line where there is no rubber, therefore means there is more grip. So you might see drivers making very unconventional lines and look as though they're kind of almost going off the circuit because they're not even turning in properly, because they're searching for the non-rubbered parts of the track off the racing line where they can find more grip, because of course the stay on the racing line, the more slippery it's going to be, and therefore not finding the advantage. It's going to be an interesting dynamic that we'll see, particularly in these first couple of laps. Drivers trying to find that the state and piece of track that's going to give them the most amount of grip, just staying off the typical racing line, and they can help it. Interesting to see how this all plays out. The warm-up session ticks over and is ending now, so we should be going to the grid a few seconds' time. And there's a couple of lap times coming in, just for reference. It's not really going to set anything, because it's just cars going out there to adapt themselves to the conditions. Now we are switching into race number 3. And as things will reset into our 3rd race, we once again give you the grid. Now they're set to line up very quickly as they rattle through. So, Marcus Hesketh will start in pole position, and it is very wet indeed. It's got even wetter since that little 5-minute warm-up session as we switched across sessions. So Hesketh then has the a daunting task in the worst conditions I think that we've seen in the BRSCC eSports race ever. Start on pole position. Good luck, Moscott. I think you're going to need it. Thomas Potter starts alongside him on the front row of the grid. Chris Etheridge will start on the second row, looking for his second Winter eSports Series race win, ahead of Jack Ashton in row 2. Then Benji Douglas and Harrison Leach, followed by Thomas Merritt and Leo Richardson, and then Traffic King and 2-time winner tonight, Matt Kendall, looking for the hat-trick from P10. Alex Catlow and John Pethick then come next, from Ben Williams and James White, from Jack Sant and Peter Stather. Then Tom Griffiths back in 17th with work to do in the damp conditions here. From Alex Corker, Rob McGregor, and another front runner to watch out for is Isaac Doble back in 20th, with Mitch Marie and co further back. T1 Mazda MX-5 is getting set to go, and as they slip and slide their way from the line, so again gets a decent start and actually will lead them down towards turn 1. So Hesketh gets the better start from pole position, will turn in towards Old Hall Corner. Can he keep it? Holds the outside line and does. Little twitch to the tail. They're all taking very carefully through Old Hall Corner, tiptoeing their way through the right-hander. As the spray gets kicked up, Hesketh will lead them down the hill through the avenue into Cascades and does maintain P1. See how long he can hold on to that for. Out of Cascades, onto Lakeside for the first time. lakeside, the lake on the left-hand side is probably anything wetter than the circuit right now in these conditions. So, Williams is off the road in the background. That's the Metro Cup racer. But now down towards the hairpin at Island Bend. Be careful, boys. You don't want to get yourself too overexcited here. But they all seem to be minding themselves quite nicely at the moment. Car's going straight on. But I think they've just about held on to it. That is Aidan Ingram that's gone off the road and has kept it out of the barriers, thankfully. I'm certain with the wet grass, if he'd been going any faster, he'd been straight off into the tyres. Side by side for second. Thomas Potter's holding on as much as he can. He's got Ashton trying to elbow him out wide. Potter will stand his ground and won't give an inch as much as he can. Ashton does hold on. Now we've got Leo Richardson powering his way through, and there's Potter across his nose, off into the tyres. That's compromised Richardson as well. I think that's two cars, it looked to me, going for the same piece of real estate. Neither of them wanted to lift. Unfortunately, Potter was the culprit as a result of that. So, or the victim as a result of that. So that's kind of broken things up a little bit. And of course, all that fighting for second place, only helping Marcus Hesketh out in front. So we'll see what he can do. Hetheridge out wide. But there is Marcus. Fair play to him. Don't doubt his ability at all. But of course, he must be revelling, thinking, where has everyone gone? He's now got a couple of seconds. Ashton's now taking the wider line, so he's now going to try and pursue after him. Harrison Leach is up to third. Douglas is up to fourth. And Kendall is up to P5. After the contact, Richardson is back in eighth. He is across the line for the first time, and Marcus Hesketh can now officially say he has not only started the race from pole position in an eSports race for BRSCC, he's led a lap as well, because he's led across the line, and the gap between the two of them, himself and Jack Ashton, if I can move my timing screen across to the right area, is 2 seconds. 2 seconds to the good already at the moment in time. Now, if he can hold on to that, that will be mighty impressive. As off the road goes Jack Ashton, that will help him. Ashton's gone off the road way wide, so whilst Hesketh can keep it on the road, Jack Ashton can't in his pursuit. That really helps him more. That I think increases the gap up to 4 seconds, because there was a 2 second gap to Ashton back to second place, which is pretty extraordinary. We'll get the replay here, so we're looking on board with Ashton. Just caught a patch of water on the outside, aquaplaned off the road. And fair play to his car control. He's usually used to a front-wheel drive Metro, so a rear-wheel drive Astra MX-5, which he's used to rear-wheel drive in the sim, really helping him out. Now, all this battling here is only going to help Hesketh trying to pick his way and maintain his lead, because Richardson has gone back to the lead second place. There's more side-by-side with two cars off the road in the background. And that's, I didn't quite catch exactly who they were, but two cars. James White's was one of them. The other car, which is one of the learned driver liveries, and Jack Sant's the other. Both getting right into the mix of the other cars going through. Thomas Potter's one of them as he recovers. I say again, I've said it so many times, but I will say it again once I finally get the full sentence out and I can slow my speech down. The harder they fight each other here for second place, the easier it is for Marcus Hesketh to hold on to this lead. I think they all have to start realising at one point they've got to stop battling, because he's now 5.5 seconds out in front and extending that margin. This is extraordinary. So out of Daly they come for the second time. Richardson leads a huge gaggle of cars across the line. That's Richardson from, take a deep breath, Leach, Kendall, Douglas, King, Etheridge, Merrick, Catlow, and I think Stathers in there as well. He's in the second group. Across the line they came, and in 2 laps after all this has been going on, is now 5.5 seconds up the road, which is absolutely extraordinary. There he is, look, literally sailing away out in front. Marcus Hesketh's got All's type. There's the rest of the pack coming through behind him. Now, I'm intrigued to see now that Richardson is trying to break away. 2 more cars have gone off the road. And it's Kendall off the road, which is crucial, the championship leader, and 2-time winner off the road. I think Tom Griffiths was the other one. They're dropping down the order pretty quickly. And also off the road, I think it was Rob McGregor. We'll see if we can get the replay here. This is now with Kendall battling away with, I think it was Harrison Leach. They're down towards Gaze they go. And, got sideways. He tapped Leach into a sideways spin. The 2 cars just got locked together. Both of them, Leach and Kendall, off the road. And Leach managed to keep the car pacing the right way. But it's Kendall who went for the spin, and he's dropped back down to 17th, so just towards the bottom of the top 20, with it all to do. I'll be intrigued to see what the gap is out in front. As we see, that's Harrison Leach with Jack Ashton. I think the position that is then between for 10th position, the last top 10 spot. The gap is not only staying at 5.5 seconds, it's increased. It's up to 5.9. So the leaders, the group behind for second place backwards, are not catching Marcus if they're trying to make inroads, making very little to none at all. The right-hander of the Druids double right, and under the bridge and towards Lodge Corner again. A couple of cars getting on the aquaplane road here. One car's off the road very quickly. 2 more. One is Catlow and Stather. Another car going round once again. That was Griffiths. Griffiths got tapped into a spin. All off the road everywhere. Ashton's involved in that somewhere as well. I guess Pethick's the middle of all three of them. 1, 2, 3, 4 places made up for Pethick. This is passes he's made all season so far, I think, in these awful conditions right now. Genuinely, in terms of weather in iRacing in a race, the worst I've seen so far that we've had in an eSports race. We've had rain before. I think it's extreme as this. Another car off the road at Cascades, and that is Benji Douglas by the look of it. So another front runner hitting strife, and one car also easy picking his way through. Remember, from what was 20th on the grid, it's Isaac Doble. He's up to P6. So he's really revelling in these conditions, whilst everyone else falls off behind him. He's simply just keeping it on the track and singing to himself, thinking, sure, it's not this easy. More battling here. This is still between Pethick, Statham, Marie, and a recovering Matt Kendall. And this is probably battles that Kendall doesn't need to be involved in here, particularly with trying to reclaim points. He's back up to 13th. He's made up 4 places since we last saw him. He can get back into the top 10 if he can pass all 3 of these cars cleanly enough. He goes around the outside, and well, there goes one of them. It's made that pretty easy. That was... went off the road there. That was Mitch Marie, and is now stuck on the infield spinning his wheels. He also got past John Pethick that sequence, and well, that was, I think, Jack Stant behind, or James Roberts went spinning. So the BRSCC photographer, who usually is snapping cars in the rain, is now snapping sideways in the rain. And back on the road once again, but he now is dropped right down outside the top 20, I think, or even towards the back of the top 30, which is quite extraordinary to see how that's played out. What about the gap for the lead? Because Marcus Hefker still has the fastest lap of the race. It is now 6.1 seconds, so it's not even changing. Because 26 gets sideways at Jamie Peters-Ennis. And the kind of early 90s IMSA livery tribute car, which is the RX-7 livery that they had back in when they ran in America. And also a similar livery that was run on both the title-winning car for Ollie Allwood and for, I keep forgetting his name, Thomas... Oh, it's so terrible. I should know his name, but I keep forgetting the name. I keep forgetting the name of that one. Of who it was that was the MXI champion, that one. It's so bad because I should know his name, but my brain can't think of it. This is Benji Douglas and Jack Ashton. They're battling over 7th place. The top 10, which will detail where they are. Marcus Hefker still leads. Ian Richardson in 2nd place. Trafford King is 3rd, ahead of Chris Etheridge in 4th. It's Tom Merritt in 5th position. Isaac Doble 6th. Ashton 7th. Harrison Leach, Benji Douglas and Matt Kendall in the top 10. He's just taken P10 from Peter Stather. Back into 10th position. This is side-by-side between Pethick and a recovering Griffiths. That's now Griffiths back up to 12th. And there is still about just under half the race to go. We've just gone past 8 minutes in this race. It's some 15 seconds to be exact now. And the lead's still unchanged and the gap is still going out bit by bit. So Marcus Hess must be thinking, how am I still leading this way? That's the reason why, because these guys still won't leave each other alone. Richardson's still 2nd. He's being harried now by Chris Etheridge, Trafford King, and the 5th place car behind him, which is Thomas Merritt. They're all so busy fighting each other, they're just losing time to ever sailing away Marcus Heskin in front. He is spread eagling the field here. And you must be thinking, how on earth am I getting out in front here and extending my lead? He's simply just taking full advantage of it, watching as these lot just can't stop battling and losing time. King and Etheridge side by side on exit. The wider line for Etheridge worked to give him enough traction to try and get himself off the corner over Dealey. He can pass him on the straight line towards Old Hall. Trafford might just slot back here and not go for the inside line. Yeah, he thought about it, but he keeps on the inside where there is less grip. Little twitch, but he's okay. Let's give Merritt, who got on board with now, the chance to pull forward. Now, further back, I can see that cars behind, actually, they're getting clearer air. Starting to lap into 144s now, because you've got Isaac Doble, Jack Ashton, and a new fastest lap of the race for Harrison Leach. He's now all lapping pretty quickly. 144.559 for Harrison Leach, and then 3 of them are catching this group battling for 2nd place. And of course, that's going to add even more dilemmas and angst to this group. We're going to lose even more time for the cause of Marcus Hettiger. So, in the politest way I can put it, I didn't think I'd expect to be talking to Marcus if he has got a microphone at the end of this race, provided he does stay there for the next 5 minutes and 10 seconds plus change. Coming up to 2/3 distance now. Looking now on the onboard view on Tom Merritt, looking at the back of Trafford King's car, slithering around in these wet conditions. You thought rain would add something a bit more spicy to the mix. With the curb, so lost a car length or so to being up the road. At the back, this is more battling going on. This is the further back battling, including Thomas Potter by the looks of it. And I think Mitch Marie, someone in there too, is also on the Bromley Motorsport cars. And that is, I think, Potter into the barriers by the looks of it. Yes, it is. That's further back he was, and he's now dropping down the timing screen. So Thomas Potter, who was ties the front row of the grid. In fact, maybe it's not Thomas, maybe it's somebody else, but he's now in the back of the... He's basically pitted, isn't it? It'll be Aaron Beattie, in fact, who's the issue. So Aaron Beattie is... looks like he's obviously... he's possibly exited back to pits and done a fast turn. He's not quite there anymore. This is now another further battle, I think, with the other car that's the teammate to Mitch Marie, which is Lewis Turkington, by the look of it. He's battling, I think, with Ben Williams and a couple of other cars further back in the scrap for the base of the top 20 or top 25, by the look of it. Let's see where they are. I can, again, scroll my time. It's going to cost where it needs to be. Yeah, this is for about 19th and 20th place across the line. He's pulling away. And in fact, this is Mitch Marie. In fact, this is a bit further up. This is Mitch Marie in the similar car for 16th place. This is then to head of Alex Corkwell and Alex Catlow, who was 11th on the grid after he finished P11 by just losing out to race leader Marcus Hesketh in the end. Back to the leaders, and now it's changed Frost for second. And again, this is only going to help the leaders' cause out in front by extending that gap. The four of them are together. Isaac Doble has caught them, and he is putting the pressure on just from a distance. The four are gaggling together for second place and heading back down towards slops once again. Looking back now from the car of Leo Richardson. Richardson keeping Traffic King at bay as they come over the crest once again. Jack Ashton sets the new fastest lap of the race this time, last time by. So 1:44.155. And Traffic King did also set a personal best last time. He did a 1:44.8. So the leaders in that group behind Hesketh are now starting to try and close back in. That's up for Hesketh. We see these guys battling even more stringently. It was 1:46.005. But I don't think that they're closing on him quick enough. The gap is now still 5.5 seconds. They're going back down towards Lodge Corner. And Richardson gets a helping hand through the corner from Trafford King. Out of the corner they go. Still, line astern, giving a face for the sprays to come back past the pits towards Old Hall Corner again. The Etheridge keeping a little view on the outside line, looking for the undercut as they go through. Making that wider approach, but King shuts the door firmly in his face on corner exit. Now gives Merritt the chance to get a run. He looks at the inside line of Etheridge for what will be 4th place, pulls himself level, and has the outside line now this time, switches lanes, and will try and hold on to the outside line, but they'll both run too wide. Through goes Isaac Doble, and also possibly even Harrison Leach at Chris Etheridge as a result. They're now 4 of them together. It's now put Richardson and King in a definitive 2nd and 3rd place, and on 20th on the grid, Isaac Doble has gone to 4th, so credit to him where credit's due. Good run so far, up 16 places. Give him his flowers for that one. Good run so far. No, he's 4th, in fact. Actually, so yes, he is 4th. So he's made up 16 places. Make up at least 2 more. Get to 2nd place. But I think the leader Hesketh is away and gone, unless, touch wood, he makes a mistake. Let's hope that's not a commentator's curse. Here stops through Knickerbrook now once again. We are now on the race, and there is still about 1 minute and 20 to go. And I'm certain we're going to get the final lap of the race. And Marcus Hesketh crosses the line next time by. And I told you that the 3rd race was going to be most entertaining and also the most chaotic, and the rain certainly added an extra element to that. I'm certainly would have been just as entertaining if it had been dry. But now side by side for 2nd place, we see Trafford King on the attack. On the timing screen, he's just about in front and has got track position. Richardson might not have any choice here but to let him go. You might take the wider line to be faster through the corner and off the exit. Trafford King gets a little sideways as he comes off the turn. Tries to put himself across and level again as they come over Dearly. They do go side by side onto the final lap of the race. Marcus Hesketh has got across the line. King almost into the side of Richardson under brakes. They go through Old Hall Corner together, and quick up and under there from Richardson. Tries to get him back on the outside line for the next part of complex through the avenue towards Cascades. And behind them there was Isaac Doble going side by side with Jack Ashton, who's been flying along the last couple of laps. Doble almost got 2 sideways to run off the road, hold on to the place. He's now again wheel to wheel for 2nd place. Richardson back on the outside for the corner for the Island hairpin. Merritt's now gone down the outside of Ashton to try and pick up. Could have been P5, but Merritt now finds himself under threat from Etheridge and Leach. There's Hesketh, and they are catching him quite quickly. So gap is there, and it's come down to 4.3 seconds. Small mistake, I wonder. It's now 4.1. The gap's come down by 1.4 seconds, and it's because they're battling on top of that as well. And with battling, they're still catching in front, but I think it might well be enough for the BRSCC man to hold on to this. It's not inside the cameras as they come through the run underneath the bridge at Clay Hill and towards Druids, but there is Marcus Hesketh from pole position, scored a top 10 in race number 2, and the wet conditions certainly in his favour, no doubting his ability, but certainly the cars behind him will push as hard as they can, not going to catch him. So, politely, I didn't think I'd say this all season, but I'm about to. Marcus Hesketh will come out of the final corner, he'll come out of Lodge over Dearly, and guess what? He's only going to be a race winner as well. In race number 3 here at Oulton Park in the wet conditions, Marcus Hesketh is a race winner in the BRSCC Winter eSports Series. And he is delighted beyond belief. It's side by side for second place. Looks like Traffic King did steal it on the line. By a minuscule margin of, what was it? Work that one out. That was about 16 thousandths of a second. Across the line between the two of them for second place. Richardson third, Doble was fourth, Ashton fifth with the fastest lap of the race. Merritt is sixth, Etheridge seventh. Then Harrison Leach, Benji Douglas and Matt Kendall rounds out the top 10, despite his issues before. Well, that was unexpected, but a positive surprise nonetheless. And so Marcus Hesketh then becomes the... Count carefully, Scott. You've got... That would have been... How many different race winners? It's at least 4, if not 5. Kendall won, I think, a couple of races. And then it was 2 wins for Richardson at Donington Park, and then Etheridge got a victory. So, yeah, that's about, I think, at least, that's 4th, if not the 5th different win of the season. And Marcus was threatening. He got himself as high as 6th or 7th in qualifying for Donington Park. So good efforts to get himself quicker. The wet conditions, whether they fully helped or not, we'll have to wait and see. And he's actually in the waiting area to have an interview. So that's going to be quite a fun interview, I'm sure. We'll go through the result very quickly before we get to any interviews in a moment's time. As the cars get the way through to take the flag, it is a win in that sense for Marcus Hesketh, who wins by, in the end at the flag, was a gap of 2.7 seconds, but at one point he was 6 seconds out in front, or more than that. Incredibly, does hold on and leads from start to finish. So impressively, in pace alone, in race 9 of the season, it is a victory for the BRSCC man himself. The King does only just beat Leah Richardson to the line to pick up P2 in the end, from him in 3rd place. Isaac Doble 4th, despite him starting in P20. It's a good effort from him to rise up 16 places. That's me giving him his flowers for his drive efforts. One of the drives of the race, the drives of the night, I'm sure, certainly for him, from way back where he was after his dramas in that second race. Jack Ashton P5, Thomas Merritt P6, Chris Etheridge P7, and Harrison Leach, Benji Douglas and Matt Kendall, who started 10th, finishes 10th, and doesn't make it any further after he went off the road after making contact with Leach midway through the race. It's 11th for Tom Griffiths after he made a mistake. Peter Staith takes 12th. John Pethick, Mitch Marie, Liam Martin Bradley, Rob McGregor, Alex Corkwell, Alex Catlow, who started on the front row, no, he was 11th, back to 18th. Lewis Turkerton taking 19th place, and Toby Campbell rounds out the top 20 in the end. More drivers who are further down the field and just had problems and had spins. We had James Roberts 21st after his spin at the... This is at Tislops, Arash Madhu, from Lyle, Ben Williams, Aidan Ingram, Martin Corkwell, Thomas Potter, Aaron Beattie, as well as James Peters Ennis, Jack Sant, and James White was the last driver. Although it looks like he had a couple of issues and cars had problems before. So, is racing complete? Again, we'll also reiterate apologies for any technical issues that we had that were beyond our control, but thankfully Sam worked his magic and managed to get us a stream that at least got us so we could have raced number 2 and that third race where we did get to see Marcus take his first victory in eSports. And I think whilst waiting for other drivers to get into the area, there are a couple. We've got Marcus, we've got Jack Ashton and Rob McGregor, but we can talk to at least Marcus and Jack. Hopefully we can get Matt as well. We can try and pull him in if he's around somewhere to be able to have a chat and grab him in as well to have speak about his night and his 2 victories. Let's see if we can pull in the new race winner. So we'll have a chat with Marcus first of all, see what he thought of that one, which should be quite intriguing to see how he gets his thoughts. He might be a bit speechless, but we'll try and get a word from him now. Marcus Hesketh, politely, I didn't think I'd be saying this, but BRSCC Winter Esports race winner in the wet at Oulton Park. I'll ask you how you did it, but I'm sure you might not have the words for it. So just tell me how it feels.
Yeah, it's pretty good to be fair. Been worse, that's for sure. Yeah. I think we just got super lucky with it, really. When I gridded up, obviously I was pole, and I sort of forgot that it was a reverse grid. So when I was on pole, I was like, oh, where's everyone else? And I sort of looked around, I was like, oh, yeah, it must be reverse grid, isn't it? So yeah, got a nice clean start. I think I got really lucky that guy in second place started defending a bit. Got a bit of a gap. The pace wasn't particularly good, but it didn't need to be honest, because everyone else seemed to be battling behind. So I sort of just tried to keep it consistent, not bin it, and came away with the win. So really happy with that one.
Yeah, you're not wrong with the sense that definitely what did aid you was keeping it on the road in the wet conditions was the fact that second place backwards, the huge pack of cars were just scrapping amongst each other, and you had like a 5-second lead after 2 laps, which must have thought, where's everyone else gone? Because sure, it can't be as easy as this, but the fact that everyone else was battling as hard as they were gave you so much of an advantage that all you had to do was just keep it on the road, keep it steady, and even though they caught you up in the last couple of laps, I imagine it was more keeping it on the road and getting it to the flag rather than just keeping that pace up despite how close they got.
Yeah, exactly that. Sort of halfway into the race, I think the gap was hovering around 5 seconds, so I tried keeping it then around that sort of margin, just in case I made any little mistakes or anything like that. And then sort of like past last 3 laps, I sort of backed it off quite a lot, wasn't giving it the full gildy, you know. So yeah, just kept on the black stuff and came away with it. So yeah.
Amazing stuff. And so of course now you've got to go over the last couple of rounds, but you've made some really steady progress as the season's gone on. Of course, you started kind of being mid-pack, you made some good progress, getting a top 10 qualifying at Donington Park, and you were running as high as 6th at one point before you had some issues and dropped backwards. So in terms of your development in terms of pace, you've come on pretty quickly, and obviously this, regardless of the wet conditions, you still held on to the victory and got it and led from start to finish. So it looks as though you've gotten a lot more confidence in this series and this car based on where you may have been at the start of the season when you were looking pretty strong in mid-pack to start with.
Yeah, for sure. I think the tracks have helped a lot. Snetterton I'm not such a big fan of. Donington, yeah, quite like that. But I sort of bottled it when it came to the racing. Oulton Park's probably one of my favourite tracks, obviously, being about as local as it gets to there. So I've sort of done quite a few laps around there. In terms of the rest of the season, I don't really think we're going to be able to continue this form, but it's nice to get at least one win out of it. We had like a bit of a bet in the office. Unfortunately, we never finished it. Charlie said if you do end up winning a race, he'll either do something or give me something. But we never decided what it was because I weren't really expecting it. But I think he owes me at least 2 pints now.
I think you said it publicly now on a broadcast, so you've got to hold him to that now. It's evidence that you stated that he owes you 2 pints, so hold him to it because you can't deny it now. Listen, on a serious note, genuinely, really impressive stuff. Again, regardless of the rain, you kept it on the road, you kept it in front, and everyone else strapped behind each other. Advantage, you led every single lap from start to finish, and you won the race. That's what counts. So, congratulations, and hopefully, just pray for more rain for race number 3 if you can get yourself in the top 10. And apart from that, just keep on improving because you've been looking pretty strong and getting quicker and quicker bit by bit. It's good improvement, and fingers crossed for next time. But yeah, one more time, congrats, and go and enjoy it, and go enjoy those 2 points that Charlie owes you now.
Yeah, nice one. Thank you very much.
Stuff. Thanks, Marcus. There we go, another race winner then in BRSCC Winter Esports. We are now going to see if we can bring in the other race winner from our 2 races in the first 2 events. We can get his take on how the first 2 races went, but also what happened in race number 3 when he started to fall back and had that incident with Harrison Leach. So I'll have a chat with Matt Kendall, who came into the weekend as championship leader and is now hoping he got as much lead as he can possibly. Matt, I think we've said this to a couple of drivers, but that was very much, I guess, a little bit like Donington Park, really. A night really of 2 sides. You had 2 victories, one of which was a bit closer than the other. One you kind of pulled away a little bit more. Second race you had trafficking on your tail, and then race 3 from the reverse grid in the pouring rain didn't quite go to plan, I think is the understatement. But just talk me through your night and how it was in terms of going from ups and downs and everything in between.
Well, that's a drop score, that's for sure.
So straight away.
For race 3, that did not go well. It was an ambitious move out the inside of Harrison, and once we got hooked together, that's iRacing, and he can't disengage the lot between us. So, at the end of the day, I probably got what I deserved there. So that is what it is. Other than that, yeah, pace was pretty good, and the other people around me have problems as well. So overall, I'm not too concerned about what happened there, because I believe at least one fastest lap point went my way as well, so it went decently well, and that kind of racing is always going to spring up that kind of thing. That's why we do it.
There was a completely different dynamic, of course, when in rain for race number 3. Of course, meant you had to take different lines. How the car was on a fixed setup, but how you drove it was pretty key. Seeing on the slow-mo on the replay on the live stream, I think what happened between yourself and Harrison, just like your cars coming together in the end when you went for the same piece of tarmac. But how much, obviously, because you've raced obviously in real life and the sim, when you have to change going from completely dry to completely wet, I know drivers prefer it to be one extreme or the other rather than in between. But those who may want an idea, when you have to go from fully wet, dry to fully wet, how much do you have to change driving style, how you drive the car, how you treat the car, and how it feels underneath you compared to when you're in the fully dry? Because I imagine a few things that you have to do in order to try and adapt to it, and the lack of grip levels that you have compared to having a lot more of it when it's dry.
In iRacing, it's probably not as big of a difference as it would be IRL. Mainly because the way you drive these cars in the wet fast is basically with a load of slip. But you do have to consider a lot more things. You have to think about what the other cars are going to do on the exit of corners that you've driven differently, and how you're going to do on the brakes, and where you can place yourself, and how you can get out of trouble if it starts. You can't bail out of stuff anything like as easily. So it's a bugbear of well of mine, to be fair, that you put the wet tyres on and then you just start driving about through puddles and stuff, which obviously you can't do in real life, but it is still quite a challenge. It's probably less of a challenge in the Mazda than it is in the BMW, for example. But it's still quite interesting to deal with.
Of course, now with 2 wins and a top 10, so as you say, that'll be a drop score going forwards. You've got 2 events left to go, and I think you came into the night leading the championship, and the 2 wins certainly didn't hurt that at all. And of course, you'll get a drop score back from where you were in that sense. Remaining 2 events coming up then, provided that you don't get any more wet weather, or we might do, depending on how they're programmed. What are you anticipating now as we are getting towards the sharper end of this championship? It's only 5 events, so we get to the point now with 2 to go where you have to start in some capacity thinking about where you are points-wise in the championship. Any thoughts towards that? Are you simply just taking the approach of one event, one race at a time, and just see how it falls?
Pretty much one race at a time. I mean, you can put pressure on yourself to score points, but it's not going to actually score the points. And tracks like Cadwell, for example, if you put yourself under pressure at Cadwell, you're going to drive badly. You need to be relaxed and thinking clearly and at ease with yourself at those kind of tracks. Obviously, Silverstone's going to be a lot of draft, and that's going to throw spanners in the works. But if you drive well at Cadwell, it can really make the last run to the end of the season. So yeah, it'll be quite interesting.
Interesting indeed. It was interesting tonight, I think, watching you guys slip around in the wet, but still 2 wins to the 10th place. So you say, the worst is a drop score that you can claim back for the last 2 events. Good racing tonight, of course, as usual, and I'm sure you'll bounce back with more action next time by. So well done on 2 victories, and we'll see what you can do next time. Well done.
Thank you very much.
So Matt Kendall, 2 wins. We have a chat to a couple of other drivers as well who are up and down the order as well. We've got, I think, 3 we can have a chat to, which is Traffic King, Leo Richardson, and Jack Ashton. Let's bring in... I haven't spoken to Leo, actually. I've spoken to Leo Richardson. I don't think we've spoken to him yet this season. If we have done, it hasn't been for a while, because he had a bit of he got 2 victories last time at Donington, but was in the mix throughout the season, throughout the night in the wet and the dry conditions. Let's have a quick chat. Leo, well done tonight. Some podiums tonight and some interesting results compared to everything that was going on, and some scuffles that you got involved in. Talk us through your night from your perspective and how it all played out, in course, particularly when you're one of the front runners in the race for the championship.
Yeah, qualifying went alright, I'd say. My pace around Oulton probably isn't the best, especially with the tight hairpin. So I think I did well to get up in the first race, and then there's a little bit of, I got kind of contacted in the chicane. I probably should have left him a little bit of space, but yeah, it was quite tight, so I think I came like 8th or something in that race. That wasn't great. And then race 2 I was actually really happy with race 2, because I saw Matt and Trafford get away, and I kind of knew that third was the only really place that was on, so I was very happy to get that in race 2. And then the last race in the wet was great crack. Obviously I haven't done any practice or anything before, because I didn't know it was going to be wet, to be honest. But yeah, it was good getting through the pack, because obviously everybody was used to racing in the dry and trying to back it up on the inside, so you could just brake super late on the outside and try to get past people that way. So I had a really good race with Trafford then as well at the end. Unfortunately he got me, but I think it was alright points for the championship. Obviously with the drop rain, it's hard to know where you really stand, but yeah, hopefully we can have a good couple of rounds at Cabwell, and I think, where's the last one? I'm not too sure where the last one is, but yeah, hopefully it'll be good.
You've been a newcomer to this eSports series, of course. You've had a couple of events now, 3 events to probably bed yourself in, and you've become a regular front runner, particularly with your 2 wins that you took at Donington Park, so you certainly settled in pretty quickly. If in your experience, how have you found it so far, and how have you found the competition? Because I think we've had not only some of the biggest, consistently biggest quiz we've had with fields now, all 3 races have had at least 30 cars in them, tonight just about with 31. In terms of the competition that you found, the drivers around, of course, not just regular BRSCC races, but others that are jumping in for the first time as well, like Traffic King and Harrison Leach has been doing it, and Fox took a victory and other on top of it too. How are you finding the competition going up against some of the drivers that regularly do this in real life in BRSCC championships up and down the country?
Oh yeah, it's mad. Like I was only there in qualifying, and I looked at it and it was like, if you're 2/10 off, you're like 7th or something in qualifying, which is mad. And then it was like, obviously I race in Ireland in real life, so I don't know many of the guys from the UK. But then when you kind of watch the races back, and you're obviously talking about it, and then it's like, there's the Mazda champion from this year, there's the Fiesta Junior champion from this year, there's the Fiesta Junior runner-up. There's so many real life guys, and then there's obviously so many super quick guys in the sim as well. So it's super competitive, and the racing's really good. So yeah, this is the first kind of sim racing championship that I've done, other than like obviously the daily races and iRacing. But yeah, I'm really happy with it. Like, it's super competitive, and the racing's really clean, so I'm really enjoying it.
The fact that also not just that, but you've been able to go up against some of these drivers and being able to match them for pace and even win races against them in the sim just shows that not only your ability is there, but you can race against people who do this a lot in the UK in regular championships, and your skill level, at least in the sim, is starting to match them and show that you can race with them in that sense. So hopefully that gives you confidence if you choose to come and have a race here in the UK in a BRSCC championship. You've got the ability that you can say against some of these drivers, I know who some of them are, I know how some of them race to an extent, therefore it can give you the confidence to push forward and have a go yourself in this country.
Yeah, hugely. I probably shouldn't be telling you this, but we're looking at doing a mini challenge trophy in the UK, because obviously I won the junior mini championship in Ireland last year. So yes, we're looking at moving into the UK for 2026. So obviously it's really good to race against the UK guys, kind of see how they race. Obviously learning a few of the tracks as well. But yeah, so that's also been super helpful.
Yeah, well, getting experience here, particularly against this lot, will certainly prepare you, particularly if it keeps on raining like it did in race number 3, because that's typical British weather, you will find. I'm sure it does the same in Ireland at some point. But excellent stuff from yourself, Liam, once again. Get some good results and good points. That'll keep you in contention for the championship too. It's still to go, so we'll see what you can do in a couple of weeks' time. But until then, good effort, and we'll see you next time in a couple of weeks.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
That was from Leo Richardson. We'll have a chat to 2 more drivers. Let's have a chat to Trafford King, who picks up a couple of podiums tonight. Of course, another one of our drivers who is competing in this championship for the first time.
Proud of it.
After the season as well. I think we caught mid-conversation, so we'll quickly just jump in. Sorry to put you away from being mid-conversation there, Trafford. We'll have a quick chat with you on the stream here. Couple of strong podiums, strong results tonight, and obviously having to battle your way through in the wet conditions to get second place from Leo on the line. Talk us through your night, how it went from your perspective, and how happy you are with the results.
Yeah, strong points. I was after quali, obviously with the big trains that were going round. I wasn't expecting to get anywhere near where I did in race 1, and then race 2 it was just clinging onto Matt, and then race 3 just avoid the carnage, try and get through. But yeah, it was good fun.
Yeah, carnage was certainly one way to describe it. I think you were so busy battling amongst each other that Marcus was up the road and gone by about 5 seconds after 2 laps. So I imagine that being in that fight was a mixture of exciting and fun, because you were wheel to wheel and everyone was kind of almost everywhere at once in that battle. But at the same time, slightly frustrating, because you must have been thinking, Marcus is getting up the road here. If we don't do something, he's going to just disappear and we'll never catch him. So it's that kind of balance of enjoying the battling, but also realising that your chances of getting a victory are kind of slipping away almost corner by corner.
Yeah, I think the first few laps, we could sort of tell the pace was maybe a bit slow when Marcus had gone, and then it was just trying to get through without getting murdered. But apart from that, by sort of maybe 4 or 5 laps to go, I think it was just a case of maximising where we were. Obviously, Marcus, he backed out of it a little bit, didn't he, on last lap, so gap came down. But I think if we got through a little bit earlier, it'd have been close. But yeah, it was. It's just one of them things. You just get caught up, don't you? That's what it's reverse grids for.
It's particularly when you add the rain to the mix as well on top of that. It certainly spices it up a little bit more. Two events left to go now. Of course, you've got some solid points tonight with some really good results. What are you hoping for from the last 2 to get yourself up there and keep yourself in contention with these last 6 races left in the championship?
I think same again. Pace is that fast between the full maybe top 15. It's just a free for all of whoever either has the pace and can do it on their own, or gets lucky with a toe in quali, and then you go from there. And then, yeah, it's just a case of maximising everything really, battling for wins. See how we get on.
I'm sure you'll be just fine. And if you get any more wet weather, you've proven you can race with these guys in the wet and the dry. So if you can do that again, I'm sure you'll be happy days. But well done tonight, good effort, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks to see how you get on in event number 4. If you can keep yourself in the front in the points battle. So well done, and we'll see you then.
Yep, spot on. Cheers.
Stuff. So that concludes interviews for our 3rd event of the season for the Clapham North BRSCC Winter Esports Series here at Oulton Park. We've had dry weather conditions and wet weather conditions all throughout, but still the drivers have managed to battle their way through, and in the end it was 2 wins for Matt Kendall to, I think, maintain his championship lead, and a new winner in Marcus Hesketh, who took full advantage of the reverse grid pole and the wet conditions and the battling behind him to take the victory, and well deserved by getting as far as 6 seconds out in front at one point. So, the next round coming up in a couple of weeks, we'll see the drivers once again move forward to another strong venue. We'll see if they can more of the same next time by. And again, once more, we apologise for any technical issues that we had throughout the stream. Of course, we're still watching. If you watched all the parts that we had, thank you so much for doing so and for bearing with us. Things should be back to normal service, fingers crossed, once we get to the next round, of course, and be less technically buggy, shall we say. It was kind of beyond my control, but Sam, who was on production tonight, some good workarounds. We got the stream finished in the end, which is good to see, so well done to him, and thanks to him and our Apex Racing TV for the continued partnership in doing the broadcast. Thanks again to Clapham North for sponsoring the series, and thanks again to all of our teams and drivers that are taking part in the BRSCC Winter Esports Series 2, and thank you to you for watching as well. Be sure you subscribe wherever you're watching to the BRSCC YouTube channel or the Apex Racing TV YouTube channel for more details and more live streaming and more sim racing wherever you go. And from myself, Scott Woodwis, from Sam Fitzpatrick, and from all of us here at Oulton Park virtually, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time for the 4th event of the season for the Clapham North BRSCC Winter Esports Series of 2026. But until then, care. We'll see you in a couple of weeks for the next one. Bye for now.